You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, King. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bachelorette After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bachelorette After Show.
What are you doing? That's not right.
You will never again doubt us when we say it's the most dramatic something of all time.
And with that
Quote
open, that is a quote
by
from
Alon Gale, producer on The Bachelorette.
And with that most poignant quote, Bing is for doing it, and we're here doing another after show on AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Jay. I feel like someone died. I'm like,
It's more a funeral than
like a breakup.
What we're gonna see.
Yeah. So, welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV for the Bachelor After Show. This is season 9, episode 10. I'm JC, and we're here to break it down. Everything that happened, because literally this was the craziest episode I've probably ever seen. And
Dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go any further, let us introduce our wonderful panel of hosts, starting with the lovely lady to my left.
Special guest.
Yes, she's a special guest. Yes, of course.
But,
you may have seen her on some of the other AFTERBUZZ shows. You're doing Who Done It, right?
I do Who Done It and Project Runway.
Very nice. So
but I'm Stef Z.
put your hands together for Stef Z.
Whoop whoop.
And of course, no Bachelor show would be complete with the girl who keeps it real, Krisily Kennedy.
What's up, guys? Kathy, we miss you.
Yes, Kathy couldn't make it this week. She's saving the world one cupcake at a time. So, gotta say
That should be a t-shirt.
Now, we've got a blast from the past, but we do have a little bit of a, like, reunited, and it feels oh so good. Martin.
Oh,
So
it feels
good.
so
So
good.
good.
Oh, it feels so good. I missed you guys.
So good to have him back. I'm gonna get
I missed you guys.
emotional here.
I can't cry again tonight. I already wiped off my makeup, so
Yeah, she has no
sorry.
Tell me what happens. Hurry.
Okay,
We're not there yet.
We're not there. And if we know you guys are religious watchers of the show. You know Martin's been with us from the beginning. He loves Des. He's loved her since Sean's season. So tonight, buddy, he's been busy engineering all night, so he does not know what happened.
And he thinks Chris went home.
That's what my prediction was.
And
That's what his prediction is.
we'll get to that in a minute. But first, let us go into like some general thoughts of this show.
For the first time, when Chris Harrison said it's the most dramatic episode ever, he was not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've got a quote actually from him. He called it, "It's a big dumpster fire that you're about to see."
I mean,
Literally, that's and that's Chris Harrison. He's usually very kind of vague. So, Stef Z, what'd you think overall? What you witnessed without spoiling it for Martin?
I know, it's so hard to not just say it. You know, I was shocked as well. I was really shocked. I feel like it wasn't like a fire, like that quote maybe Chris Harrison said. I feel like it was very gentle. It was very loving what the outcome was.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was very honest. So you can't really blame somebody for being honest. And I feel like it took a lot of courage to do that. It was a lot of gracefulness. There wasn't a lot of drama this episode, which in the previous ones there was a lot. So, you know, I think it was really well done and tasteful for, you know, the outcome.
it was like watching a slow train crash.
Definitely. So, in actually, you know, yes.
Yeah, but no, because like it was because of the outcome, but the way that it happened, it wasn't like people falling out of the windows as the train crashes and it's something slightly exploding. It was like a really heartfelt. It was like the train kind of fell off the track.
Okay, so Steph, she sees a different perspective.
Like that.
Where are the brakes? Hit the brakes.
And normally I would ask the chat roll to chime in, but we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties.
JC's computer sounds like a bumblebee,
But he took it to his guy.
so we can't use it. Sorry.
So the chat roll is down for tonight.
Throwing him under the
You
train.
can definitely call us at 424-256-1729. But it's time to get in there. Let's get
do it.
into Antigua.
Yeah.
I thought it's called Antigua, but I'll go with
I thought so
Antigua.
too. And why is the sand pink?
Because it's sand of love? I don't know.
I was so confused by that. I want to go where there's pink sand, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get past the pink sand, and I want to know why.
It was
it's
only
pink.
like where the water hit the sand too. It wasn't the whole. It wasn't like a pink beach. Like in some places, you know, like Florida has like white sand, like weird sand that sticks to your feet and like squishy noises, but it wasn't like that. It does.
I never even noticed the sand. I literally
I've been to a lot of beaches.
You guys...
Possibly because the date was dull.
We're not saying that, but well, let's just say it had less impact than stuff that happens later on the show, Martin. Right. Okay, so let us start with our first bachelor, Drew Kenny, who we call Ken, and ironically enough, his last name is Kenny.
Yeah.
So looks like a Ken doll.
But he's a sweetheart. He's an awesome, genuine, soft. I mean, he's just this sensitive, tender man.
But here's the problem.
Yes.
She's just not that into him.
Nope.
That should be a movie. That should be a book.
I think it might be.
there is something. He's just not that into her.
is.
It's the reverse way, but that's what it is.
But why? I mean, he's got everything there because she's got these great guys. What doesn't she see in Drew? What is it?
The fact that he's too soft, the fact that he's too sensitive, the fact that he's way more into her than she is into him. I feel like she needs a guy that has more edge, and he's going to be great for someone else. I'm not knocking him as a man at all. He's great.
No.
Just not for her. Like, she needs someone that has some edge.
See, I don't think that it's bad that he's soft or sweet or like even it's kind of charming that he's like a dork-ish, like in a really nice way. You know what I mean? But with that, you have to possess, like even when she was saying in the date with him that she needs someone that kind of wants to take charge and stuff, like I don't see him being that guy. And then when they're sitting together, you can really tell, or I feel like the body language, like you can see when she's with the other people, she's tilted in, she's looking, and with him, she's kind of like her back was like up against, like she's just not connected like that. You
know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I wrote that down because that's every observation you were making. It was about body language. I don't know if it's because you're covering who done it, but you are so on top of that. And then you had me looking at it. I was like, she crinkled her nose. Oh my God, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know?
She did. She looked away at certain times if you watch. And it probably is because, you know, the show that I'm covering right now is a mystery. So you really have to observe everything that's going on. But yeah, I just didn't see it in her body language at all. And nothing wrong with him, you know, and I know he seems like a great guy. He seems super fun. But yeah, that was my take on him.
And there was literally a moment where they were having this great heart-to-heart, and she said to him, you know, he was saying these things about her, and she said, that's why I trust you. But her face was not saying, that's why I trust you because I love you. Her face was saying, that's why I trust you because you're my friend.
Yeah.
You know, like you could see that in her face. You could see the awkward laughs and the weird smirks at the wrong times and the looking to the left when he was saying something because she couldn't look him dead in the eye.
Why is he still there then? Because you know he's going, let's say if she doesn't pick him or
because he's safe.
But it's going to crush him. He's an extremely sensitive guy.
But that's the nature of the beast, isn't
that's
it?
The
With
game.
the show?
Yeah, not
it's
the
a
game. And that's the show.
Not in a bad way, but that's, you know, a few people are going to get their heart broken regardless. So I feel like with him, it's like how you were saying, she trusts him, but she trusts him in a way that it's safe. But when you're falling in love with somebody, if you completely 100% trust them in a way, I don't feel like you're falling in love because you have that feeling, that fire of like, oh my God, well, is it gonna happen? Is it not? Like you have some sort of doubt or question or expectation or something in the beginning. And if she's completely trust, it's like, that's why it's not, you know, eventful. That's why that edge is missing because it's just, you know, he's just sweet. He's there. He's this. She trusts whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
I also think she kept him because she does like to look at him. He is attractive. He's probably a good kisser. He's probably fun. And I think that she genuinely really wanted to like him more. And he was that option of, I know that he's good for me. On paper, he's perfect. I really should try to figure this out. And within time, realize that she had feelings for someone else.
Yeah.
Right.
Time out. Before we go on to about that kiss, it is like raining in some crazy tropical place, and you use an umbrella? Come on. Sorry.
No, that's
Throw
a
the
great.
umbrella.
You got to throw the umbrella to the side and
Yeah.
get wet with the kiss.
Get a little risk. Have a little edge.
And
Yeah.
Drew is not the kind of guy that's that
right.
kind of guy.
And that's a good example of
And
that.
nothing wrong. Yeah, that's a perfect way to explain.
Perfect for
their,
someone else.
Yes.
Right.
Which, do we see him being the next Bachelor?
No.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it would be a little bit boring. And again, no disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, especially after this season, which was so dramatic.
No, but now we've seen in the past where some, like Emily, when she was on Brad's season, she was a little more reserved. But when it was her turn to be the Bachelorette, they brought another side of her.
But she always had that in her. They just chose that in editing. And I don't believe that we're not seeing it with Drew. I believe that that's not the way Drew's made. Drew's definitely the kind of kid who it's not in the fiber of his being, and there's nothing wrong with that. He just doesn't have that side. He's just that the way that he is. I don't think that it's an editing thing that we're not seeing. I think that he just doesn't have that.
I'm so afraid of next week, and we'll get to that a little bit later, Martin. I love teasing you on this.
Spoiler.
I kind of want to just spit it out.
No, not yet.
I know.
Not yet.
We're pulling them in, and this is a perfect opportunity to pull you guys in and tell chat roll hello. And if you're not watching us live, go to YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think. Make sure you go to AfterBuzzTV.com, comment on our shows. Make sure to send your questions, hashtag Ask Krisily. I promise next week our computer will be fine, and we had such a great response, and we can't wait to answer more of your questions for Krisily. So let us move on to Chris. Clark Kent. I kind of call him like kind of Clark Kent, because the guy is everything. He's this, I believe, was it Stef? Were you the one that said, I really like Chris?
I do. He's my favorite.
Really?
Well, again, yes. Without spoiling it, I do. I like him. He's cute. He's not too cool for school. He was the first to say I love you, so that means that he's a risk taker. It was really funny though, the tweet that was going across the bottom that said Chris is like an action figure without the action. I don't really agree with that though.
Neither
Like
do
I think he brings the action. He brings the fun. He shows up. He's present. He's not thinking like, well, the what if, the could if, he's just there trying to have a good time, and he's not scared to have a good time, nor scared to show love, which I like.
Yeah, and we all know he comes from a kind of wacky family, at least.
Love his
the
family.
dad, so he has all these sides.
Yeah, and they've had great conversations, and they've taken the process pretty realistically, and they've talked about all the important things. And at the beginning, it was just surfacey and pretty, and within time, it's gotten more depth and more feeling. And he loves her, like there's no doubt about it. And they've had such great strides in their relationship, whether it was playing baseball or whether it was, being on this amazing romantic date. Like they've been able to do both sides of it, which I think is really hard to balance in this situation.
Right.
So why or why not him? Why he is this fantastic guy. I think I've got like a man crush on him. Literally, he is. I've said that for weeks. He is this amazing, fantastic individual.
On paper, he's the best fit for her.
Right.
But what does that translate to? No friendship on fire? Or what does that mean? I mean,
He's not my pick. We know my pick.
Right.
But
I mean,
I like Chris.
Yeah, I like him too, but it's like an all or nothing. Well, not really. But it's if it's not there, it's not there.
so we're saying it's not there on.
See, I think that she does like Chris, and I think that there's definitely feelings, and I think given more time, and if Brooks may not have been there, then I think that her and Chris would 100% work and would be together for probably forever, especially after seeing their date tonight, because they did have a great date. They got to drive around. They got to do fun things. They went in the helicopter together. He was afraid of heights. He still went and did it with her. Like they do all these great things for each other. And I think in a normal everyday life, Brooks not in the equation, he would have been her pick.
Yeah, because he taught her things, and we've talked about that for season after season. It's the couples that teach each other something, and that's where the love grows. You learn from your partner.
And she recognized that.
Yes.
She
Right.
made it a point to say, you taught me how to throw this. Even when we were in the group dates, you stood out and somehow you figured out a way for, to make a mark for me. And I feel like it was really big of him as well to be honest about like I live in Seattle. Like I got this great job. Like would you be, interested in moving with me? Like he kind of put it out there and wasn't scared to be like, well, this is how it would make the most sense for right now. And I give him a lot of credit for that. Like I really like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, she is in LA. She wants to be a designer.
bridal
You know what I
designer.
mean? I mean, this is what she does. This is what she's lived for. So that was probably a really hard conversation for him to have.
Yeah.
I just have such a hard time with this one because I don't know. I even wrote it. It's just a reflection of a real relationship.
It is.
Right.
And let's face it, if what happened tonight didn't happen, it would have 100% been Brooks and Chris next week. 100%.
I know. I feel like we've not given Chris his due. I mean, but there's so much. I've literally never taken so many notes ever on a date.
Well, I feel like, and we were talking about this before the show started, for you guys at home, we do show notes every week, and we write down what we're going to talk about on each thing. And it's so hard because this episode was so heavy towards the end. It's hard to talk about either dates because now we know what happens.
Right.
And so while Drew had... to me, Drew's date was just okay. It was nothing spectacular. I saw him going home tonight midway through the date. And with Chris, I think they had an amazing date tonight. So I feel like had what happened not happened, then it would be a different after show as well. But I feel like because what happened, it's the nature of the beast is completely changed.
I think the viewers are waiting for us to let's cut through
What
it.
happened?
Okay, Martin.
Just tell me.
Well, you have to set it up.
Are we doing this?
You have to set it up. You have to set up that he went to his family.
Yeah.
Yes. First off, Brooks he's for the last few weeks, it seems like they've been setting it up in a certain way where actually Desiree started saying love around Brooks. Whenever Brooks' name was mentioned, she would say the word love. And I haven't heard that in the past as many times as I had this season. But Brooks has been having a bit of a hard time.
Yes.
Right.
And we saw that on his hometown.
Yes.
We saw him struggle with that beforehand, and they've had this conversation before. So it's not coming totally out of left park.
Yeah, and I always wanted to bring up
Not right.
That's fine.
I wasn't even right. Left field, sorry.
It's okay.
Got you.
Thanks.
Something that's never been brought up, and the fact that he is from Utah. And I know this is a generalization, and there's nothing wrong with this.
Is he Mormon?
Yes. And the only reason I'm bringing, there's nothing wrong
I've
with
seen
that.
it a lot in tweets and on message
Okay.
boards.
Yeah, but
What have you seen?
How does that really play in? Because
Doesn't.
he's literally had said that he's felt these things before. He's been in other relationships. Like I don't feel like I get why people might think that or have that generalization, but I don't think it really plays.
Neither do I.
Do you think maybe this is the reason I brought it up? Do you think that it might be a slight challenge if he were? Because they tend to be of the same faith. Not always, but I mean, ideally, they like to marry within their faith.
No, and they said that with Emily and Jeff, and they said that with Sean and Catherine. And I got berated for it last time, and it's fine. But you do not have to be in a relationship with somebody of the same faith. That doesn't make or break your relationship. And I understand that some people feel it does, but it doesn't always.
I totally respect that. You brought that up last time. You're totally right. I just wanted to put that out there, and thank you for. I appreciate that. So let's get to when he got to his mom's house, his sister's house, and he just wasn't fully feeling it. And his mom cut it short. If you're not feeling it, how are you going to make a decision on something you're not absolutely sure of?
Yeah. Which I thought was really stand up of the family too, because they didn't just go to backing his feeling. They were like, "Are you sure? She was great. She got along with our family." Like they were saying positive things, not just trying to belittle her because of the process or because of what happened. And you know what I mean? They were really like, "Are you sure? Like she was great. It was good for her to get along with the family." So I feel like
she could hold her own.
Yeah, like I feel like it was big of the sister to say those things.
And it's tough to get family involved at this point because once they meet that person, they are invested and they are involved in some point. And a lot of parents watch their children go on this show and their feelings get hurt and it's tough for them. So to see him go back to his mom and his sister and them not be like, "Oh, it's just a show. Oh, she's just a girl." Like they liked her. They stuck up for her. They were really giving him the questions that you would want someone to ask you if you were having those thoughts.
Right. Which just shows how real he is and how real his background is, which is kind of awesome.
Oh, just wait. I'll tell you how real he is. Just wait. We're not there yet.
More of a tease.
Just wait.
No. Now, here's the thing. Do you blame the show for the process of putting this pressure? Because it's obvious that there's something there between the two of them. Even though I think someone in this panel disagrees. And we'll get into it. Yes. Yes, you.
100%.
Yeah, but how can you blame the show when this is what they've signed up for?
Because you have no idea what you're signing yourself up for when you sign yourself up for it. You get in there, and it's a totally you can't even begin to imagine the I can't say it because it's a swear that. The head games that happen during this process, especially when you've gotten this far along, you're questioning everything you know about yourself and feelings and awareness and what's real and what's not real and what's fake and what's not. It's why this show does not succeed in relationships all the time.
You disagree?
I kind of disagree. I kind of feel like if that's what you're to what you said, if there was love, it would supersede all of that stuff, I think. Like, it would...
Not at this point.
I don't agree.
Because at this point in the process, he's gone to his hometown, and now he's going to his fantasy suite. There's obviously an extra day that he's had to go back with his family at this point. So he has had about... maybe a total, not consecutively, maybe a total of a week to himself. No other guys around, just a producer or a handler and a camera person or whatever. It's those times, and at this point, that real life starts to set in. This moment of him and his family, and the moment that we see after this, is the most real conversation and feelings I have ever seen on this show in as many seasons as I've been watching, ever. And maybe that comes from being a part of it and knowing that feeling a little bit, but I couldn't write it down enough. That was such a real, genuine conversation coming from somebody who is completely screwed up by this process.
Wow, that's.
I still just feel like the process of the show. At the end of the day, a lot of people get screwed up. People's feelings get a little bit toyed with. Like, people don't, if they don't know what they're signing up for, you know what I mean? Like, all this stuff happens. So I feel like the show is designed to do that.
And Brooks is the type of person, I think he's a very open person.
Yes.
So he saw this as a wonderful opportunity, and he didn't
try something new.
Right. And the fact that he's saying, like, I feel like almost like if he would have got taken by the show, he would have stayed and he would have maybe proposed and he would have done this, that, and the other thing. Like, he's saying, no, stop this process. Right. I don't feel this. So I don't feel like the show did get the best of him. He's like, no, I don't 100% feel this. I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore. Pretty much is what he's saying.
And I think there's very much truth to that. So obviously we haven't gotten to the part where he talks to Des.
Well, I was gonna, before that, let's get into the conversation with Chris.
Yeah.
When he shows up with Chris, and whenever Chris shows up, at this point of the show, it's never really a good sign.
No.
When you see him show up, you're like, no.
And Chris was smug. He was caring, but he was a little smug with him at points too.
Oh, I felt he was great. I thought he was really great. I feel like he asked questions in a way that didn't provoke an emotion, and wasn't like, "Are you sure? Are you not?" Like this, you came here for this show. Like, I felt that he was really smart in the way he asked questions.
He was very much. You see him almost be like a father figure.
He was super protective of Desiree.
Yes,
that's what I mean by smug. I didn't mean it in a bad way. I just meant that he was just like, you could tell he was super protective at Desiree, and you could tell. I feel like you could see the look on his face more than once that he wanted to be like, "Really? Now's the time you're picking to get out? Really?" Like, I feel like I could see that look on his face.
See, that's a beautiful moment we've never had on the show.
Yeah,
Sorry, Stef.
I have a question. What is there, like, an Ask Krisily hashtag moment? Like, is there something in the contract of that's like, if you decide on your own accord to leave, you have to do X, Y, Z, or is that not there because a lot of people don't do that? Like, how does that work?
I didn't read the whole contract, but I know, no, at that point, you have one producer that's kind of with you at all the time. And so within your constant interviews, which are those little pieces that you see, you get to know them pretty well, and they get to know you pretty well. So I feel like at that point, when you say to them, I really just don't think I have feelings anymore, then they're going to start asking you, okay, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to try another week? Do you want to go home? Do you want to, because they're very rarely, I think they're not going to let anyone leave without having the conversation with either Chris or whoever the Bachelor or Bachelorette is, unless that person was to just up and leave and say, screw you. I think that they would try to provoke that conversation so that they have that moment.
So there's no, like, consequence or monetary obligation or anything like that. Okay.
And that's what brings me to this point. He said there was something missing. What aspects are missing? Or is it a boy that's afraid?
It doesn't seem like anything's missing, but it also doesn't seem like he's afraid to commit.
Yeah, I don't think he's afraid.
So what?
The process. Like, for me, this is 100% the process.
Even though he says, I don't think Des is the love of my life.
Yeah, I mean,
That was a quote.
I mean, like, reading between the lines, he's kind of saying out of sight, out of mind. Like, he's saying he doesn't miss her. That's the process. I feel like the process would make, again, you've been through it, I haven't, but I feel like the process would make you be like, oh my God, now she's with this other person, and what am I thinking, and where am I going, and I miss her. And it's like, if he's knowing that she's out with other people, and he's not missing her, he's not really in love.
But let's go a step further. In that conversation, he mentioned that his parents they divorced.
Yes.
Who's haven't?
Right, true, but it affects people differently. And let's just say, for argument's sake, with Brooks, it's affected him so deeply that right now we think that Desiree is the one that's totally madly in love with him. But what if, in turn, he's the one that's so much more in love with her, and he's just afraid to face it?
Yeah, but he said
that's a boy that's afraid, a man that he hasn't come into his own.
I don't think he's afraid that he's in love with her. I think that it's
okay.
Everything else.
Yeah.
The process.
I mean, like he said, maybe it's his last relationship, because he brought that up. He said, I was ready to marry somebody. It didn't turn out that way. With my ex, it didn't turn out that way. I mean, I'm not quoting exactly, but he said something to that effect.
Okay.
So maybe it was that. And maybe he thinks that after the show, she might not be this person that she is.
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, and we've seen that happen from time and time again. But, you know, he had questioned a lot of things, but shit got real when she met the family. Like, that's when it was like a reality check of him having fun and seeing her and loving her and wanting to be with her and spend time with her, but all of a sudden now his family's, and you can tell he's just that good, genuine guy that was like, now my family's involved. Like, now this is real. And that's when it really started to kind of throw him for a loop. And I've said this a million times, this show is dating on steroids. Never in real life are half of these dates ever going to happen to any one of us. So when you put somebody in that situation, you're falling in love with the moment, not necessarily the person. And unfortunately, it usually happens backwards. Usually you think you're falling in love with that person, and then at the end you're like, who the hell did I end up with? But in this moment, it went in reverse.
Yeah. Which I think is good. I think it's good
too.
for the show. I think it's good for people to see. Like, I think I mean, poor Des, but
this was the most real situation they've ever had play out on the show.
Well, let's get to the situation.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
For the most dramatic episode ever. She knew right from the start. I don't know which one of you two said it. She knew immediately.
As soon as he started walking towards her.
You could tell by the way he was walking.
So there's a walk.
His body language.
Everything is like a little slumped over. His head was down. He was walking there like, oh no, I gotta do this. Oh no, I gotta do this. Oh no. And she's all like glowing.
Yes.
She's like ready to like, woohoo.
And every other time they run to each other. Always run to each other. And he was just like moseying on down because he knew. He knew that he was gonna break her heart.
And I mean, how did they handle that situation? I mean, it's hard and really to put into words the fact that he says, I want to be in love with you.
Yeah.
We're not laughing at
We're not laughing. It's just, Martin is hearing this for the first time.
That is like
it's the worst.
That's the worst. More.
I mean, are you kidding me? You say that to a girl? Why would? Oh, the girl would be like, all right, well, get the hell out of my face.
Yeah, no, it didn't go so well. Didn't go that way.
He was trying to do the nice pow, but it didn't work. He was like, you know, I think he put salt in the wound. Like, this could have been the most amazing thing ever. Like, that's just like swing and a miss.
And it almost, it seems textbook. I've heard so many stories in relationships where the guy, the breaker, keeps on talking, and the breakee does not want to listen to it any longer.
Oh no, she wanted to listen.
But she won't let him go.
No.
I think we talked about that.
She kept asking questions, and why, and when did you know, and how did this happen, and he did the best that he could, and he was completely 100% honest, and he did it in such a respectful way. But that to me shows how much he loves her. Like, he took the time, he felt sorry, he was so emotional. He might have said the wrong thing a couple times. Like I just want to be in love with you, or I mean, there were so many things that he said that we were all like, that didn't just happen.
First date.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I feel like he was trying to make her feel better because he didn't want to break her heart, you know, and.
So you said that we discovered that Desiree loves him. I love you. She said
words.
that. Okay, now speaking of contractually, What happens there? Have they ever been in a situation like this of your knowledge?
For sure not, that I know of, no. I mean, and I don't think they say absolutely 100%, you cannot say I love you. But they definitely...
I've heard that,
yeah,
though.
it's you don't say I love you to someone on camera, because if there's 5 people left and you only say I love you to one person, then where's the suspense for the viewers, right?
Sure.
And where's the suspense for the guys? So one guy knows that he's got it in the bag. What's the point of the rest of the show? You know, and we have to remember that, yes, feelings are involved. Yes, people get hurt. Yes, 24 men are set up to fail. But it's a show that we all watch every week. So they have to make it the best show that they can. And so part of that is she can't show that emotion. She can love and hug and kiss and pat and do whatever the hell she wants. She just can't say those words. But I feel like in this moment, the real book's out the window, and she's gonna not care if she's supposed to say it or not, because she wants him to know how she really feels. Like, when this happened to her, she was so caught off guard. We saw that she had no idea what was going on, and at that point, all she wanted was for every one of those camera people, producers and sound people, to get the hell out of the way and for them to have a real conversation. And that's when she let everything go and told him how she really felt.
I've never seen you so surprised, and you've been in this process.
Yeah.
The shock in your face was just, it was golden to me.
Because there were 2 reasons why I was shocked. One was because, as we all know, he's been my pick from night 1. He was my pick for her. I love him. I love everything about him. I think that he's a great guy. I think he has fun. I think he doesn't take life too seriously. I think that he has so many different sides of his personality. And I think together, when they were together, both of them glowed every single time. The chemistry, the connection between them was great. And I love all that. The other reason why I was shocked was because it was real and it was genuine. And I think what people don't understand is, you go through this process and you have all these dates and you have this love on steroids and you're with that person and you're like, oh my God, this is great, I'm in love. And then real life hits and you're like, oh my God, I am not in love. I like the person, but I'm not in love with them, because this is real life and I'm not in this bubble of the Bachelor world anymore.
Okay, now we've talked about it in previous weeks that they've only spent maybe about 48 hours together on average.
So it's completely normal for him not to be ready to get down on one knee. Like, he's saying, yes, he said the wrong things to her, but in the conversation that he had with Chris, he said, I just needed more time. I'm not comfortable proposing. I don't believe that he doesn't love her.
I don't agree. Like, he said, I don't love her. I'm not in love with her. And Chris specifically spelled it out and said, do you need more time, or do you not love Des?
Right. Why didn't he wait? Well, why didn't he wait till the fantasy suite?
Because he's had probably...
to talk with it,
No, he wasn't going to go through the date. He did the right thing. He did the right thing by not going through the date. And I don't agree. I think that he
loves her. He's not in love with her. It's a very big difference.
There's a huge difference. But I think that within the process, within the producers, within the camera people, within Chris Harrison, with people constantly saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to talk to Des? Are you going to talk to Chris? Are you going to go home? Are you going to stay? You want to give it another night? His head is so as confused as you just got when I just said that. I saw the eyes go big. Yeah. That's how he's feeling. And I would be willing to put money... It's not the same within this process. In real life, that all makes sense. In real life, it all makes sense. We're looking at it. If you love someone, it doesn't matter. In real life, that makes sense. Not in this world. And so I would be willing to put money on the fact that if he does not come back next week, because I do think he comes back next week, and I do not read spoilers, so please don't tell me if you read it.
Please do not tell us, please.
I would be willing to put money on the fact that if he does not come back next week, he comes back after the final rose and he does love her.
How much?
I don't know, because I don't bet.
Start your wagers now.
I'll bet cupcakes or something.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now, adding to your point, we saw how busted up he was after this all went down. He was destroyed.
Terrible.
Okay, so Stef,
but in him being destroyed, especially when he was pulling away, he said, I really wanted her to love Drew or Chris more. If you're in love with somebody, you don't want them to love somebody else more than you.
Are you sure?
It sickens you.
I don't agree with that.
It sickens you that they might love someone else more.
No, because that just shows me that's a man that's afraid. Because he wants her. If she picks him, fine, that's good, okay.
If you love someone and it doesn't work out with them, you still want them to be happy.
Right. So he wants, but no, I don't agree. I don't agree that he's in love with her. I don't agree that he's just scared. I mean, I know you want this to work. But I really, like, it's not what's going to happen. Like, I'll bet you whatever you want to bet. Like, that's.
Let me ask.
She's in a timeout. Just throwing that out there.
First day here with Stef, and Krisily and Stef are fighting already.
Timeout.
We're
Love
not
it.
fighting. But you know what I mean? Like, I really feel like you wouldn't say all that. Like, if you're a man and you love somebody, or if you're a woman, whoever you are, if you love somebody and you can't muster up, like, you didn't just tap out. Like, he tapped himself out.
But in real life,
That's
really?
Martin's opinion.
really?
I agree with Steph 100%. Everything she's saying is gold.
But I
Thank
feel like
you.
in real life, this is true. I agree with her 100% in real life. And I think with this process, his concern is real. It's very easy to feel like you're falling in love in these moments and in these situations. And he said that to her. In the moments, it was great. When we weren't together, the feelings were questionable. And I feel like it's a very realistic thing that happens within this process. Usually it doesn't happen until you get home and start watching the show. For him, it happened much sooner. We also have to remember that this has really only happened between 2 months. And the fact that he's not ready to get down on one knee in 2 months, I don't think is too far-fetched.
It's not about being ready. He doesn't love her. He doesn't want to get on a knee.
Okay, let me.
But that pressure doesn't exist in real life.
Right,
And
but this
he's
is the
feeling the
first
pressure.
time that it's ever happened like this on the
Yeah.
show. So the show doesn't get to everyone like that. Like, he just does. Like, this season, 2 guys left.
Yeah, right. But out of all the shows, how many relationships really worked? 4?
But that's the whole thing. So
That's
that
why they
there's
don't
not
work.
a real love connection happening. So the fact that he saw that beforehand and was like, yeah, this has been a fun ride, but I'm not in love. I'm just going to leave now.
Look at Jason and Molly. He thought he loved someone else. Real life hit, and he realized that it wasn't that person, and it was the other person. And they've been married for how many years and are expecting their first child or just had their first child. So I think that what people not in this situation don't understand is that in real life, this all makes perfect sense.
So you're trying to say that Brooks and Tiara are going to get together?
No.
That's
Z.
terrible.
No. No. One last
Des
little.
and Jeff Holm?
Stop.
Terrible.
No. One last thing. All right. He was busted up. Was he busted up? Will the fact that Desiree showed so much love for him, will that give him a change of heart? Should we save it for predictions? We are going.
Sorry, I can't. It's so exciting. It's not exciting. It's terrible. But it's exciting because this show's never been so real before. And
Absolutely.
for me, like, I love seeing that. And there is one thing that I loved about my season, and it was no bullshit. There wasn't the fancy dresses. It wasn't these dates on steroids. It was pool and pizza and stuff that you do in real life. And I can appreciate that. And that got thrown out the window many, many seasons ago. And I watch every season just like everyone else. And I love the show because there's that hope of real, true love, and we don't ever get to see it. So for me, maybe we're not going to get to see it this season because it's not looking so good, but to see such a real moment happen on the show just gives me so much faith in it again.
Oh, bravo. And
Even though
But
people
in the
had to
same
cry
sense,
really bad.
Wait, time out real quick. In the same sense, if he does still love her and he comes back and maybe I'm jumping the predictions gun, how does she trust him?
see, that's another. I think we're gonna have like 10 minutes of predictions, guys.
I'm ready for that
Are we-
answer, so I'm
are we ready?
Yeah, but before we talk about our predictions, I
Yeah.
think we have to talk about that amazing movie called Serial Buddies.
Oh, care to get into that a little bit, Krisily?
I know that you can get it right now, and that you should get it right now because our amazing bosses Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro worked so hard on it, and they have an amazing cast and crew, and it is just it's really funny. I mean, it really, really is funny. You have to at least check it out, and it helps us. So
I'm sold with the Fonz narrating the movie. Come on.
I mean, the fun.
It doesn't get
Yes,
cooler
it
than
was
that.
really good.
You can get it on you can get it on iTunes. You can get it everywhere, basically. Amazon. So definitely
Do
come
it.
to our site.
Yeah, there's a
You can
link.
get it there.
Do it.
So before, well, actually, we got no news and gossip because my computer's down. Oh, where's
Your
Kathy?
computer's down. The other half of my brunette bandit is not here. We are just failing you tonight. We're not on chat roll.
Okay, we'll make it up to you guys next
lost
week,
a bet.
but we have 10 minutes probably of predictions. So.
Oh my God.
And now,
Jeez.
your AfterBuzz TV.
So, can you put in a sentence what we just experienced for the last 2 hours?
Truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
For the first time on the show in a long time.
Bam, well said.
That wasn't even a sentence. That was a word. Bam.
Oof. All right, so
Bam.
we still have 2 other guys left. Hello, we forgot about Drew and
If
Chris.
she picks either one of them, she's a terrible person.
We can say terrible. You were gonna say
Terrible.
terrible.
I mean, how do you pick someone else and then they watch the show and she clearly is in love with, you know, Brooks, and then she picks someone else? Oh, wait, after he said, I don't love you back, I'm just going to, you know, who wants to be the constellation prize?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Part of me wants to say there'll be no proposals, and part of me says there'll be 3 proposals.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Could we see 3?
Okay. So
Oh my
Drew
God.
is definitely not a contender at this point. He may still try to propose because he's there, but he's not a contender for her. I think Chris is still a contender. I think something that Des...
How can he be a contender?
Okay, so wait, listen.
How can she let anyone propose?
Well, let me finish, people. First things first. Although I love Brooks and he's been my favorite for her from the beginning, one thing that Des may have learned from Brooks is that she falls for men that aren't available. And if she can realize that and they give her enough time, which I know they're not going to, then she would see that Chris is the better person for her. But I don't know if that will happen. So I do think we may see Chris propose, but at the same time, I feel like what we heard from Des tonight was saying that I'm alone. I think that there's a very big possibility that she's going to tell both of them that they're not the one, that she was in love with someone else, and that we're going to see everything hit the fan after the final rose. The only problem with that theory is that we've already seen a clip of rings and Chris standing in a suit by himself. So... I've never been so confused for a finale in my life, ever. Like last season, from get-go, I had her picked. This season, I'm just at a loss for words.
I'm the romantic on this one. Go ahead.
And then as far as the trust issue...
Yes, scorn.
No, because, and that's because you're looking at it realistically. In real life, you wouldn't trust that person. Des has been through this process, and she knows exactly what he's feeling right now. And that's why I think that she'll be able to trust him if he comes back, because Des lived this. She understands that feeling. She knows that love, not love thing that I'm talking about. And so I think that it would be, yes, it makes sense in real life that that would happen, but in this world, I think that she would be able to trust him fine.
Steph Z, what do you think's going to happen?
I hope that there is no proposal. That's what I really hope for. Because if she, like, even saying that Chris is the better person, like, you don't want to marry the better person just because you're on a show and there's 3 people left and one said they don't love you and Chris is the better person than Drew. You want to marry somebody because you're on fire and you feel the way she did about Brooks. The end. Like, I think anything less than that is setting herself up for failure. Like, how's that going to last? Well, I picked you because, well, that one left. So then I realized you were the better guy on paper, so I'm going to pick you.
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant it, no. I just meant it as we grow in relationships and as we learn things from our past, we learn that sometimes some people have a habit of falling in love with the wrong people or being in relationships for people you want the thing that you can't have because you can't have it. And I think as we get older and we realize that those things aren't real, and sometimes that's a lust and not a love, and I feel like that's what I meant by that, not like a one or the other.
And Martin,
sorry,
I have to ask you because you have some vested interest in this.
Yes.
What do you think?
Chris didn't go home.
I thought, oh man, I thought he was gonna go home.
What do you think is gonna happen next week?
I think I agree with Steph. I hope there's not a proposal because I don't know. Do you think Des can be in love with 2 people? Do you think she's in love with Chris?
No.
Well, then see, she shouldn't let him propose if he tries to
I
propose.
was going to say that. If she lets them propose, doesn't that makes her look bad after what she said tonight?
Yes, it does.
If there is any proposal, someone looks bad.
And Des she's really smart when it comes to this. She's been through this process. I don't think she'll let Chris or Drew get on one knee. I think it'll get to that point, but she'll stop them there.
So is she ending up with no one?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I agree. This is a first. With Krisily.
Wow. Is there like a Hall of Fame moment or something? That's like, whew.
I don't know how it's going to happen, but for weeks, this is a producer's dream. This is just the way I see it. I don't want it to, I hope this happens, but the way they've set this up for weeks, we've been hearing it for weeks. Somehow, I don't know if he's going to come back to the island or if he's going to come back after the final rose. Something's going to happen, and we had that quote mid-season where, was it Mike Fleiss said that there's going to be a Mesnick
Right.
at the end of the season.
And that's so either she realizes that she was in love with one of the other guys, and that, like I said, the feelings with Brooks weren't real, or Brooks comes back.
Brooks, I hope.
Yeah.
God, I feel like a romantic.
I feel like after the final rose would have just had to have been filmed recently. So that means they had time, and that's exactly what happened with Jason. And remember, Melissa Rycroft showed up to that after the final rose thinking that she was getting to put her ring back on and going to be happy and together, and didn't know until he came out on that stage.
So are you saying that she's going to, let's say she picks Chris, they go to the final rose, she has a change of heart, Brooke shows up, and there's a huge cluster bleep.
That could all still happen, yeah. Because after the final rose,
Wow.
that was a Jerry Springer moment right there.
Yeah, this isn't The Bachelorette anymore.
Because they just filmed the men tell all, so I feel like maybe the after the final rose hasn't been filmed yet. Because that's huge secret, unless they did say live studio audience, didn't they?
Yes. They did say live.
So then it has to have been filmed like within this week.
Okay.
Or last week.
And I've read a lot, and she seems very happy.
They would never let that slip.
Des seems, and remember, Des doesn't have a poker face.
No, live usually means aren't they going to do it next Monday?
No.
Oh, okay.
So as you can tell, we have a lot of questions still to be answered, and we'll all find out next week.
Or they might do it that day.
And the viewers, our viewers have questions. No, I have to finish this.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to do it that day. I don't feel like they're going to let the normal public know for like 2 weeks.
I got to let everyone watching at home, because they've been passionately asking, when are we going to shoot our finale?
Yes.
We usually do it Monday nights right after the show, but due to scheduling, we are going to move the show on Tuesday.
Because you guys are rock stars.
Yes, so it'll be the whole team, and we may have a surprise or two. And yes, Krisily doesn't even know about this.
I don't even know.
Me neither.
So
hate being on
tune in next Tuesday. I'd say around 6 or 7 Pacific. We'll let you know as
we're working out our schedules.
Yeah, we're working out our schedules, and you'll find out as soon as possible. So with that said, we got to get the hook. So Stef Z, our special guest, big round of applause, please. Woo! Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was super fun.
Now, Stef, what else are you doing? Where can we find you? What other shows are you doing? What numbers to dial? Tell us what to...
My home phone number.
Whoa!
You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at IAMSTEFZ.
Nice. And Krisily, where can the fans find you?
Twitter and Instagram at Krisily, and like my Facebook page.
And the guy who I always call the part-time model, Martin, where can they find you?
At home watching this episode over and over again.
It's so good.
All right, so that does it. Oh, and you can find me at JC Rubio TV on Instagram and Twitter. So for Stef Z, Krisily, Martin, I'm JC, and we're the Bachelor After Show. We'll see you next time. Good night.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Alligator.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.